We're going to get some help to break down the latest numbers from Alphabet. Angelo Zino, CFRA Research Senior Equity Analyst, and thank you for joining us here today. Microsoft stock up 4.69% in after-hours trading, but your first blush look and opinion of these earnings?
I think you got to love them. Definitely a drastic change to what we saw last night, and you kind of look at the results. Both companies beat on the top and the bottom line. I think what the street really cares about more than anything is the cloud numbers, and the cloud numbers looked absolutely fantastic for both companies. When you kind of look at the beat, I'd say on both sides of things, I mean, it definitely Alphabet looked a little bit more impressive, and that's why you're seeing kind of the more pronounced move on that side of things. But Alphabet also doesn't provide guidance the way Microsoft does, as well as Meta does. So you've always got the potential for a bigger surprise or a miss on Alphabet's side of things. But in this case, definitely the trajectory is moving in the right way for Alphabet.
How big of a deal is it, Angelo, that we finally got this cash return, right? That we got this dividend being paid out by Alphabet of 20 cents a share? Oh, is it more that like they kind of had to do this, or investors were going to be disappointed?
Yeah, no, I think there's a little bit of that, to be honest with you. I mean, after your biggest competitor out there or peer within the digital ad space kind of, goes out and blows it out, in early February and comes out and throws out a big, buyback plan, as well as, initiates a dividend, I think there's definitely pressure from the investment community out there for you to do the same, especially when you kind of look across the Mag 7 names outside of, I think, Tesla and Amazon. I think these guys are all now doing both the buybacks and the dividend. The dividend is very small. It's not necessarily going to have any impact in terms of, their ability to kind of, pay it out at any point in time, even if that business model over time sees some sort of hiccup. So I think it's just kind of a small little olive branch out there for investors. And the buyback of $70 billion is roughly in line to what they announced the last 2 years. So no change on that side of things.
Alphabet earnings have been a bit of a black box over the years. Just wondering how much conversation you expect to hear on AI after the bell. Their Gemini offering has received a lot of criticism, just being a little bit late to the party, but they've sunk a lot of money into this, and you got to imagine they got something ready to reveal at some point in the future. Just how much are they willing to talk about that today?
Yeah, so I personally don't think you're going to hear a lot about, you're going to hear a lot about AI. They'll definitely talk it up and kind of talk about the opportunities of AI, across their cloud ecosystem, as well as kind of instilling it across, their different platforms out there. But that said, you're not going to hear much in terms of product launches or anything like that. I mean, they just had the Google Next event about 2 weeks ago or so, and they throw out some good positive news on that side of things. But when you kind of look at how the calendar is shaping up here, right, you kind of go into mid-May here, and you've got the Google I/O conference on May 14th. That's where you're going to get the commentary in terms of new capabilities from Gemini across their Android ecosystem, as well as kind of new product launches that they're going to ramp on the hardware side of things. So Google I/O is where we expect the catalyst to be as far as AI is concerned. And then, also for Microsoft's state, you're going to have the Microsoft Build Conference on May 21st. You've got, the Developers Conference for Apple on June 10th. And of course, you've got kind of, NVIDIA mixed in all across there. So there's going to be a lot of AI stuff in terms of the calendar coming in, mid to late May into June.
And Angelo, just one last one on Alphabet before we dig into Microsoft a little bit more. What about how much they're spending on AI? I mean, that seemed to really be the issue for Meta, the capital expenditures planned for AI development this year. You talk about all the AI news we've gotten, the AI news we're expecting from Google and Alphabet. Do they have more leeway when it comes to how much they're spending there?
So, the good news actually is when you look at the fourth quarter results that they posted out there, they actually kind of alluded to kind of a big step up in terms of CapEx. And you actually did see a big, step up in CapEx from Q3 to Q4 of last year. So the trajectory was already there that there was going to be a massive pickup into 2024 and even into 2025. So, the street's been prepared for that. I don't know exactly what the CapEx number here was for Q1. My guess it was somewhere roughly in line to to our expectations out there. At least when I looked at Microsoft, that also, it was actually slightly below what our expectation was for the March quarter. But for Alphabet, as we kind of look ahead here, through the rest of this year and into next year, we do think they've got a competitive advantage out there in terms of their custom silicon business. We do think they're ahead of the game relative to the other cloud players out there. So that is one advantage we do think they have in terms of the cost side of things and what they've done on the custom silicon side.